Bedtime stories for kids. Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a quiet village at the edge of a dense forest, there lived a sweet and cheerful little girl named Lena. She was kind to everyone, always smiling, always helping her neighbors, always full of curiosity and wonder. Her grandmother, who loved her dearly, had sewn her a special cloak with a bright red hood. "To keep you warm and safe," her grandmother said, tying it gently under her chin, "and to help the world see your joyful heart before you even speak." From that day on, everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood. Lena wore the red cloak every day. It billowed behind her as she ran through the meadow, helped gather flowers for her mother, or played with birds and butterflies. But her favorite person in the whole world was her grandmother, a lively old woman who lived in a cottage deep in the woods. One spring morning, Lena's mother called her into the kitchen. "Your grandmother isn't feeling well," she said gently, handing Lena a woven basket. "Take her some bread and honey, and a jar of warm broth, but remember, stay on the path." Lena nodded quickly. "I will, Mama, I promise." Her mother crouched down and held her shoulders. "The forest is beautiful, but also full of things you don't understand. Don't talk to strangers, and don't wander off." Lena smiled and hugged her. "I'll be back before the sun touches the river." And off she went, the red hood shining like a flame against the green of the forest. The path was familiar. She had walked it before, always in daylight, always in safety. Birds chirped above her. Rabbits darted across the mossy ground. The wind whispered through the trees, almost like a lullaby. She skipped and hummed to herself, thinking about her grandmother's stories, and what it would be like to one day live alone in the woods. Too, she didn't notice the shadow that moved among the trees. Not at first, but then a voice, smooth and low, called out, "Well now, where is a little girl like you going so early, and so alone?" Lena stopped. A tall figure stepped onto the path, a man in a long coat, with a clever smile and sharp eyes that never blinked. But his ears were oddly pointed, and his teeth, too white, too long. "My mother told me not to talk to strangers," Lena said politely, gripping her basket tighter. The stranger chuckled. "That's very wise of your mother. But I'm not dangerous, just curious." He bowed slightly. "I'm a traveler, and you seem very brave, walking this forest by yourself." Lena hesitated, then said, "I'm going to visit my grandmother. She's not feeling well. I'm bringing her food." The stranger's eyes glinted. "How kind of you. Where does your grandmother live?" Lena pointed. "In a little cottage at the end of this path, past the big oak and the crooked stream." "Ah," he said. "Well then, don't let me slow you down." He tipped his hat and turned into the trees. Lena watched him disappear. Then she walked a little faster. As soon as Lena vanished down the trail, the stranger stepped behind a tree and changed. His coat lengthened into thick gray fur. His face stretched, his teeth sharpened, his limbs grew lean and quick. He was no ordinary traveler. He was the wolf, and he was hungry. A cottage at the end of the path. He growled to himself. An old woman, alone. Then the girl. 2 easy meals. He darted through the woods, taking a shortcut known only to creatures of shadow and scent. His paws barely touched the mossy ground. Birds fled, squirrels stilled. The forest itself held its breath. Within minutes, he reached the crooked stream. Beyond it stood a tiny, ivy-covered cottage with white curtains and a smoking chimney. The wolf crept to the window. Inside, grandmother sat in her rocking chair, knitting, humming softly to herself. A tray of tea rested on the table. The door was unlocked. "How quaint," the wolf muttered. "How foolish." He knocked. "Who is it?" called grandmother. He quickly disguised his voice, high and sweet. "It's me, grandmother. Lena, I've brought food." "Oh, my dear," grandmother said warmly. "Come in, come in." The wolf slipped inside, shutting the door softly behind him. Grandmother looked up, confused. "You're not." She never finished the sentence. With one leap, the wolf lunged. By the time Little Red Riding Hood reached the clearing, she noticed something strange. The birds had gone silent. The flowers by the path were trampled, and the door to grandmother's cottage was slightly open. "Grandmother," she called softly, "it's me. I've brought your favorite honey bread." No reply. She stepped inside. The cottage looked the same, but off, somehow. Too quiet, too dark. The curtains were drawn. A shadow lay across the floor, and in bed, beneath a heavy quilt, sat someone who looked like her grandmother, but not quite. "Grandmother," she said, walking closer, "are you feeling worse?" The figure shifted beneath the blanket. "Yes, child," came the hoarse reply. "Come closer. Let me see you." Lena stepped to the bedside, blinking. "What big eyes you have. The better to see you with, my dear. And what big ears you have. The better to hear you with, my dear. And what big teeth you have." The covers flew back. "The better to eat you with." The wolf lunged, but Lena, quick as a deer, screamed and ducked, knocking over the basket. Bread and broth spilled across the floor. She darted for the door. But the wolf was faster. He blocked her path, growling. "You should have stayed on the path," he snarled. Lena backed away, heart pounding. "Please don't hurt me. I'm done being clever," the wolf growled. "It's time for dinner." Just then, bang. The door flew open. A figure stepped inside, tall, broad, carrying an axe across his back. The woodsman. "What's going on here?" he roared. The wolf turned, baring his teeth, but he wasn't fast enough. With one mighty leap, the woodsman tackled the wolf, wrestled him to the ground, and pinned him. "You've caused enough fear in these woods," he growled. With the butt of his axe, he struck the wolf's head, once, twice, until the beast went still. The room fell silent. Lena collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "Grandmother, is she?" The woodsman knelt by the bed. "She's not here," he said, "but there may still be time." He rushed to the hearth and began cutting open the wolf's belly with careful hands. And from inside, a soft cough, a wheeze, a hand. "Grandmother," covered in soot and wool, but alive. "Lena," she croaked. "Is that you, grandmother?" Lena cried, rushing to her side. They held each other tightly, trembling. "I thought I'd lost you," Lena whispered. "You saved me," grandmother said. "And yourself." The sun broke through the trees as the woodsman cleaned up the mess. He dragged the unconscious wolf far into the forest, promising to warn every village nearby of the danger that had come so close. "He won't get another chance," he said firmly. "Not if I have anything to do with it." Lena helped her grandmother into her rocking chair, wrapped her in a warm shawl, and served the honey bread and broth, now reheated over the hearth. The cottage glowed with quiet peace once again. "You were clever, and you came back to me." They sat for a long time, holding each other, listening to the forest outside, no longer quiet with fear, but calm with new life. When the afternoon came, and Lena was ready to return home, the woodsman offered to walk her back through the forest. "Just in case," he said with a smile. But Lena shook her head. "Thank you, sir, truly. But I think I can manage." She tightened her red hood beneath her chin, stood tall, and lifted her basket. "I'll stay on the path this time," she said. "But I'll also keep my eyes open. I know better now." The woodsman chuckled. "Then the forest is lucky to have you." Lena turned and began the walk home, her footsteps steady, her heart wiser. And though the trees still whispered and shadows still danced, they no longer frightened her. For Little Red Riding Hood was no longer just a sweet, curious girl in a red cloak. She was a girl who had faced danger, listened to her instincts, and found her way home.